G'day everyone and welcome to Art After Hours Online. I'm Benjamin Law and I'm really pleased to be joining you here from the Art Gallery of New South Wales, which is in Gadigal land. First Nations people on this continent, like the Gadigal of this great Eora nation, have been here making art and sharing knowledge here for tens of thousands of years, together constituting the oldest continuing human civilization the planet has ever seen. And we are particularly grateful to elders past and present that we can continue making art and sharing knowledge here on what is and what will always be Aboriginal land. Art After Hours is a weekly talk series where you'll hear artists, thinkers and celebrities in conversation as they explore themes and artworks from the exhibitions currently on display in the gallery. And right now, of course, we're talking the Archibald Prize. It's Australia's favourite art award. And every year since 1921, artists have entered the Archibald Prize with portraits of celebrities, politicians, business people, sports people, artists themselves, and more. It's really the who's who of Australian culture and beyond. And in this series of live conversations, we're going to go behind the scenes to find out more about the stories behind this year's canvases. Now, our first guest tonight was born in the United States and migrated to Australia in 2012. She lives in Sydney and makes work across painting, installation, ceramics, printmaking and drawing. She's interested in painting as a medium because of its primarily masculine history in the Western art canon and focuses on notions of beauty, gender and queer identity. Her work's been exhibited in galleries and museums across Australia and the United States, and she's been a finalist in the Churchie Emerging Art Prize, Portia Geach Memorial Award, and of course the Sulman and Archibald Prizes. Kim Leutwiler, welcome and congratulations on being a finalist this year.
Thank you very much and thanks for having me.
So nice to have you here. And her subject, our second guest, originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is an American singer, actor, drag queen and recognised skinny legend. She's the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 3, is also a Billboard charting recording artist and a wildly successful touring act, and one half of a comic duo with Katya, fellow drag queen in the web series and I Like to Watch. You may have seen her in the Netflix feature documentary Trixie Mattel Moving Parts, on her Skinny Legend comedy special, heard her most recent album Barbara, or read her New York Times best-selling book that she co-wrote with Katya called Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood. And with Trixie Cosmetics, she's also a cosmetics baroness, I guess. So joining us from Los Angeles, Trixie Mattel, welcome to the Art Gallery of New South Wales.
Hello, thank you so much. Travel's so easy when you don't leave your house.
It's so good to have you here. I want to start with you, Trixie, because you are here with this portrait behind us in the Archibald Prize this year. As we said before, it's often known as the who's who of Australian culture, but subjects have ranged from people across the world. But I need to ask you, did you even know what an Archibald was when Kim talked to you about this prize?
Well, at my management company, there's an Aussie who works there, and he was like, in case you don't know, this is a really prestigious thing to be even involved in or know anything about. And then, like, obviously, I'm not a visual artist, so when somebody like Kim tells me it's a big deal, I just trust and believe, you know.
So what is the origin story behind the two of you meeting? Trixie, I mean, how did you first encounter Kim and or her work?
She's a stalker.
I am a stalker, mega stalker.
Honestly, I think she DM'd me and said, I'm a painter or I'm a portrait artist. Can I do your portrait? And I think I was in Australia. And so I had, just come to the theater.
That's great. So
right?
Kim, professional artist and professional stalker.
Yes.
Look, you're no stranger to the Archibald Prize. This is your fourth time as a finalist, is that right?
Fourth time, yeah.
You've painted Faustina Rigoli, Ollie Henderson, Michelle Heyman, all kind of queer icons in their respective fields. So how do you decide on your subjects and why Trixie Mattel?
Yeah, well, I really like to focus on painting queer people, queer identified people, and queer allied people as well, because I just think there's a place in modern portraiture and today's art for queer people. We're massively underrepresented on the walls of our cultural institutions, so it is a singular goal to try and fix that. But yeah, I think Trixie is just someone that I first encountered from watching and I was like, what? I felt like I was on an acid trip watching that show. I was like, what the hell is happening in front of me?
That's putting it kind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We should probably explain that is a show that Trixie and Katya co-host.
Yeah.
It's wildly popular on YouTube. I think like every episode gets at least 2 million views each, which is huge. And that was
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the early episodes are up to like 4 or 5 million, which is psycho.
Wow.
Insane.
And there's 100 and I think we're close to 150 or something episodes.
Yeah.
So Trixie, I mean, like that in itself, I mean, is just one part of your portfolio. And you probably, I mean, just by metrics alone, you are one of the most famous drag queens and queer icons of your generation. Have you been asked to be painted before?
I mean, I'm not a visual artist, and I always admire people's. I guess for me, the fan art. I guess I get a lot of fan art, especially since my face is a painting, and so people are interpreting sort of my interpretation of a caricature of beauty. So it's sort of like a game of telephone, and usually what comes out on the other end is a really interesting, like a reinterpretation. And so the artists' work that I keep are usually the ones where you can kind of tell it's me, but they've gone in their own direction. And when I saw Kim's work, I was just like, it's just, people ask if I have a picture in my house that Kim did. People ask if it's a photo. It's like so beautiful. And I don't think people understand the size of Kim's portraits. Like a little person who just paints pictures about the size of a car.
Yeah.
I mean, they're huge.
They're so gigantic. Yeah.
Size matters.
Yeah.
I want to
And so being painted the first time was such an honor, and the second time was even bigger honor because I wasn't even in drag. It was cool.
Well, let's talk about that because you mentioned the first and second time. So we should probably make clear that the painting that is a finalist in the Archibald is a painting of you in boy form, out of drag, as Brian. And there is a kind of a mirror image of that that's also a painting of you as Trixie Mattel. Kim, what was that process like? Why did you want to ensure that you painted Trixie twice?
Well, whenever I paint someone, the first time I paint someone, I'm kind of getting to know their features, getting to know their face, and kind of experimenting with ways to portray their gender, their identity, their beauty. And I don't do studies. A lot of artists do a study first, but I just go straight in. So I always love to paint people twice. And I think, when we first met, obviously you were in full drag. You must have been like 8 feet tall with the wig and the heels and everything. And also, I was meeting Trixie Mattel, and I was a Trixie Mattel fan. So I think I was probably the most awkward human in existence. But I loved painting that portrait and collaborating with you on sort of, what that background would be like. And we picked out that flower pattern based on one of your Barbie's outfits, and it was a really nice collaborative process. But then as time unfolded, I just became a really big fan of you as a person and sort of the man behind Trixie. So I wanted to kind of get together and portray that in this next portrait of you out of drag.
It's pretty amazing because they really are two completely different feels, the picture. It's the same body, same person.
Yeah.
And they are total, but there really is two totally different pictures.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
Trixie, did you have any reservations about being painted out of drag? You say you get a lot of fan art from people around the world drawing, painting you as Trixie, but as Brian, it's not often a face and persona that we necessarily get to see. What was your thought process when that was pitched to you that you were going to be painted as a boy?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't have done this if Kim and I hadn't have done the first picture, because the first picture it's my favorite art of me ever made. And so that level of intimacy went so 0 to 100. And the way Kim works too, it's kind of through a lens and then onto a painting. And so I guess there was a lot of established trust, because I think with visual artists, when people have a really clear point of view and their technique, Kim's, it's beautiful. There's so much trust you can just pour into it. It honestly felt more like working with a photographer than a painter in a way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like a photographer you admire, you just in the moment trust it and you just do your thing and let them do their thing. It's that level of trust.
I love hearing that this painting of you as Trixie is basically your favorite image of you that has been produced. What connects you to it so firmly?
Well, the first one she did of me was in full drag, and it's so beautiful, and it just makes me think of that costume and that time in my life, and it's so pretty. And the one behind you is so much more intimate in ways where, like, I don't know, I guess the picture, I don't know if this was the intention. I think out of drag, I have a little bit of a sad look in my eyes all the time. And even my body language, the way I pose for a picture out of drag, I mean, look at me. There's some discomfort with myself, the way I'm holding my hands, and like, I don't know, I guess it's also a little bit feminine in a way, even though it's me in a men's outfit with a men's hat on. I think she got so much, it almost feels like a still from a movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you see in the painting, and what did you see in Brian as you were painting this particular portrait, Kim?
Yeah, well, we spent some time together at your house in LA that morning, and we're lucky enough to sit down for maybe it was about an hour before you had to go and get in drag really quick. But I think just the time we spent together while I was sketching you, and that kind of interconnectedness and that intimacy that we've been building over years of knowing each other now, and sort of the persona that you are as Trixie and as yourself as Brian, they're kind of married in a lot of ways, but then you as an individual are just such a beautiful human to me, and sort of the creator and the person behind all of this. I love you so much. So thank you for letting me paint you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I mean, my boyfriend, when he saw this new portrait, he was like, "This is so amazing." He was like, "I like this one even more than the last one." He was like, "This is like I love both portraits. I'm lucky enough to have one of each, and I just feel like someday, like when I'm old in 5 minutes, I'll look at these two and I'll be like, of course there's a picture of me as Trixie. That's exciting, but like I would have probably also never had a portrait of myself out of drag. I wouldn't even have thought of it. So it's just like a big deal to have some kind of, I don't know, poured concrete over something in my life in that way. That's what the portrait feels like.
Yeah,
you know?
It's kind of a flash of a moment in time that you can look back on, certainly. And the weird thing about portraiture is that it's kind of morbid, but this portrait will live on much longer than any of us will. So it's kind of this, you're almost objectifying someone and glorifying them in such a way that it will carry on well beyond into the future, which I think is a lovely thing.
And who would spend this much time painting me if there wasn't some genuine, like, love and trust? You know what I mean? It's both ways.
Yeah.
Who would make paintings this big, so detailed, and the paintings travel all over the world on their own? They basically have their own touring careers. You know, that level of commitment it's really an act of, it's like a love letter in a way, you know, and it's so honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, Trixie, you bring up those key words of love, intimacy, and trust. And to be painted, I don't know what it's like to paint, but to be painted is a huge act of almost vulnerability, because you're forfeiting, you're handing over your image to someone else entirely. And the act of unveiling the portrait can be quite a confronting thing. When was the first time you saw this portrait of you as Brian? What was your immediate reaction? How did you see it?
I think I was lucky enough. I mean, Kim's probably sent me some. I think I remember, Kim, you kind of sent me some underpaintings or some sketchings in the beginning. So she let me preview a lot of it, which honestly she doesn't have to do. It just feels more like, I don't know, like she's sending me, like she's the surrogate and she's sending me the
the X-ray or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the X-ray. What is it called? A baby X-ray? We don't have children. A baby ultrasound. She's sending me the ultrasound. Like, look, you can see its head. Do you know what I mean? Look, it has 10 fingers. And then I really didn't know what direction she was going to go with it, because I didn't really see, you know, in drag, the first portrait she did, I know what I look like in drag, and I know what that outfit and wig looks like. And honestly, it's not me. So I have a very clear idea. Versus this, this was like, I didn't really know what picture she took or what pose she would take. I mean, this was taken in my living room. I mean, it was very informal. And I mean, even looking at my outfit I chose, I'm like, I remember why I wore that. I was feeling a little chubby that day. I'm wearing a hat because I need a haircut. I have a little pin stuck to me that Katya gave me. It's like a little bee. And if you go, that painting is so detailed. I don't know how you did all those little lines on that shirt.
Oh, it took forever.
When I came around the corner in that shirt, admit it, you were like,
oh no.
put on a different shirt, please.
Well, you notice I strategically didn't paint all of the flannel detail in the middle. I just left that to be abstract. Yeah, that was very strategic so that I wouldn't have to paint every single little line, but that took maybe 15 hours on its own.
Yeah.
Was-
I have a question about the portrait.
But what was your question?
Well, she did this with the last one and this one, and you do it with a lot of your stuff. What is your intention with marrying sort of the negative space or whatever with the subject? Because that's like the first thing I noticed about you in both portraits.
Yeah, well, so secretly, I want to be an abstract painter, and I would love to be able to kind of portray a person just through abstract mark making, but I'm not talented enough to do that yet. I'm working on it slowly. So I kind of use that layered abstraction to sort of echo and mirror the layers and complexities of our identities and our gender, and to have that color kind of unfold to portray someone's vibe. You know what I mean? Like in your Trixie portrait, I used all the pinks and the yellows and the pastel blues and sort of those light colors that I associate with Trixie. And then for your portrait, I kind of did use some of those colors, but also layered in some other things that, you know, I know you wear often when you're out of drag, or just sort of portray the many layers and facets of who you are. So that's why each painting and each person that I paint has very different abstract mark making and different colors to sort of reflect who they are or how I felt about them at that time.
Yeah. I want to talk to each of you about being artists, but also specifically about being artists this year in 2020, because Trixie, it's a pretty intense year to be an American generally, but also an American artist and an American drag queen. The latest season of Drag Race couldn't even be filmed in a studio because of COVID. How has this year affected you and the work that you do? You wear multiple hats, but I imagine coronavirus and its realities has affected your work.
It's been a weird year because I mean, no matter what, the buildings are coming down, but like people need to laugh still. So for comedy people, we still need to get on the horse, and escapism is very valuable. And even if the building's on fire, some of us, like with Trixie, my job has always been, I feel, to address the anxieties of adulthood, you know, through comedy and through this character that's kind of like a toy or like a children's thing. So even though it can get really dark, I always feel like I need to keep things light, because, you know, a 10-minute YouTube video in the middle of the day can completely reset some people and let them go back into the world, you know, guns a-blazing. So I try not to let it, like, the world's sad, so I need to be sad. It's like, well, my job is still to put on the clown nose and be glamorous and be fun and plasticky. And I really feel that responsibility. Obviously, things change. You know, I was in the middle of touring all year, and now I've gotten to, you know, on the upside, focus a lot more on making comedy YouTube videos, or work on my makeup company more, or start my podcast with Katya. So drag queens are like, you know, we're used to getting paid nothing, lip syncing to a broken radio in front of a barn light, standing on a milk crate. So like, we don't need a lot. I just need an audience, and like, you know, I'm very fulfilled by finding something to do. I'm sure Kim feels the same way. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, how do you reflect as a visual artist, and what's this year been like for you in your practice?
Yeah, you know, I've really focused a lot on sharing the process through my social media and videos, just because I know that people have reached out and said that it means so much when they can watch me do a painting from start to finish on Instagram or wherever I happen to be sending it. So I kind of focus on, you know, setting up the lens and capturing all of that to sort of feed the souls of everyone around me who has been kind enough to follow me on Instagram and all of my social media. But it's been interesting. I feel like the creating art for me, I know we've talked about this, Trixie, where I get into this flow, and it's almost as if nothing else exists around me. So I'll wake up in the morning, and if it's a painting day where I'm like, all right, it's go time, I won't even go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, do anything. I go straight into the studio and I just start working. And then all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I realize that I'm starving, I need to pee, I have to, you know what I mean? So you just kind of get into this zone that's really amazing. So in that way, it's been quite therapeutic, because I've had such a hard year. COVID aside, it's just been a really tough year. And now it's looking so much better. I'm really, really happy. But yeah, art making has definitely helped me through some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim and I had pre-COVID, Kim and I had an intimate conversation about that where like when you really just become consumed in what you're working on, you just have so much purpose and everything else just kind of feels like it either doesn't matter or it's exactly where it's supposed to be. You know, because like hands are busy and as an artist you just feel like you have a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that the
So-
zone that you're currently in, Trixie? Because you said you're starting a podcast with Katya, but I look at this year alone and the output that you've already had with, your album, the book that came out. Like, but you're still busy. You're still making work. What's next on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding awful, like Barbara charted during COVID. The book was a bestseller, New York Times bestseller during COVID. My channel just hit 1 million views. Like, everything's awful, of course, but I guess for somebody like a drag queen who's kind of an oppressed group, things been awful. So like, I'm glad the world is picking off the scab and kind of like we're rehealing, we're readdressing a lot of things, not necessarily a bad thing. And I think in human history, stuff like this always yields some of the best work. Like I'm
Yeah.
writing for my next record. We're putting out makeup. People aren't leaving their houses. They're still buying tons of makeup. People love to wear makeup right now. And I'm going to provide it for them. I love I'm in my house cooking with the Easy Bake Oven on YouTube, 31-year-old man. And I'm like, this is fine. like if bars were open and stuff, I'd probably still be doing this. I mean, as a content creator, some of us were sort of accidentally doomsday prepping ourselves by being self-sufficient to begin with.
Yeah.
And I feel like I
know?
feel like coronavirus has really brought to light for so many people how much art sustains us, right? Like,
Yeah.
what have we been thriving off under lockdown? It's been like video games, it's been books, it's been like trashy movies, it's been like web series, it's been online talk shows like the ones that you host, Trixie. I'm curious, not just art, but also queer art. When it comes to that sort of stuff, what's been sustaining each of you? Now, this is going to be like book and movie club now, I realize. But what's been sustaining you, Kim, in this period, in this pretty tough year?
Yeah, I've actually been reinvesting. So all of the money that I've made from selling my original artworks, I've been investing in purchasing work by female artists, queer artists, artists of color from around Australia. And because a lot of artists are having a really, really tough time during COVID. So yeah, looking into some amazing queer artists from around Australia who I might not have been exposed to if it weren't for, this pandemic happening. So it's been really interesting to kind of explore that sort of emerging queer art scene. I've absolutely loved it.
And Trixie, you can use this opportunity to launch the first episode of Trixie's Culture Club. Like, what are your recommendations? Like, what's been sustaining you and keeping you engaged and delighted during this weird time?
Well, I love to play video games. Right now I'm playing Alien Isolation. I mean, I do have to turn off the brain once in a while, so I love to play video games. I play my guitar a lot. God, what else have I been doing? Listening to a lot of music. I'm obsessed with the Go-Go's. I mean, always, but I'm kind of re-obsessed with them right now. I just binged Haunting of High Manor. Was it?
You were
Yeah,
talking about
we're-
this just
Bly
before,
Manor.
Kim.
Yeah, Bly Manor.
Yes.
Are you a big horror fan, Trixie?
Yes, of course. And on our Netflix
Me
show, Queens Who
too.
Like to Watch, we get to watch chunks of all these shows, and then they yell cut, and I'm like, but what's gonna happen? so I'm not even a TV watcher, but working for Netflix, I see just enough of the shows that then I'm like, well, now I have to watch it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't not know what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm about to finish Haunting of Bly Manor, and just honestly, I just love being home this much. I live in this little all pink condo. I just sit around in my underwear and play guitar.
Yeah.
And I've cooked a lot. In the beginning of COVID, I was so scared of Postmates or anything. So I cooked everything and I started cooking everything from scratch. And I just keep thinking, like, if COVID didn't happen, I also probably wouldn't have learned to cook this year. I mean,
Yeah.
Wow. So it can be a blessing in disguise.
It can. And have you collected any new Barbies since I last saw you?
yes, I'm always getting new Barbies. I have a lot. I mean, I've really gone overboard since you were here. Recently, I have a bunch of my Spice Girl dolls, and I've been tracking them down in the boxes. another set because I want to open one set and have them on display in my office. So I'll have, if you're a real crazy person, you have some in the box and then some out of the box.
I mean, Trixie, we are talking to you from an art gallery in exhibiting space, but your place is its own exhibiting space for dolls and memorabilia. We're currently kind of at your house in a way, but can you lead us through what your collection's like at the moment, and if we visited you, what we'd be seeing?
Sure. So I collect mostly 60s to early 70s, like mod era Barbie. So most of my collections, 50 to 60 years old, a lot of mint condition, a lot of original outfits, original hairstyles. I just think I love women and I love Barbie because it's time capsules. It's basically sculptures was what they are. They're tiny pieces of multimedia art or whatever. And they're time capsules of women in America through the decades. It's what the hair was like, the fashion. I mean, what jobs were aspirational for women at that time? Was she sold with a husband? Does she have a baby? I just think I love Barbie, of course, because it's fun, but it's also sort of just time capsules of the development of American culture. And I could talk about it forever. I've read an alarming number of nonfiction books about Barbie. But I find it inspirational.
Yeah.
We've only got time for a few more questions, but Kim, before we let you both go, I'm wondering, is anyone on your wish list? Because, you've gotten Trixie Mattel, and you've gotten Trixie Mattel into the Art Gallery of New South Wales.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else on your queer subject wish list for the Archibald?
Well, it's a little bit awkward that you brought this up, because I have a solo exhibition coming up for Mardi Gras in January or February, and I was hoping that you might have some time.
Oh
to
my
sit
God!
for me.
What? This was not planned, by the way.
really
This was
wasn't
not planned, but
You have to wear the T-shirt. You
Yeah.
have to wear the T-shirt. Thank
I'm already
you.
dressed, ready to go. Oh my gosh, it'd be a relay race. I would love to do. That's very nice.
Actually, please give her a break. Please wear a simple black shirt.
Yeah.
She did so many patterns on that portrait.
No more patterns or teeny tiny little fly pins with so much detail.
You all in the audience have this exclusive. That question was just launched, and I'm blushing in places that are not usually exposed to daylight. So that's really nice, Kim. And second question, look, we heard you were a stalker of Trixie's, you were a fan of Trixie's, and now you've painted her and him, and you've become mates. But I'm wondering, Drag Race has produced especially so many drag queens over its 12 main seasons, 5 All-Stars, all of its iterations. Why Trixie for you? Why does she resonate for you of all of the entertainers?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't get exposed to Trixie through RuPaul's Drag Race. I was really late to the game starting to watch RuPaul, and in fact, I started watching it because of Trixie. Because I was watching and just thought it was the most ridiculous, hilarious thing I'd ever seen. I would turn it on when I was feeling low and watch it for an hour straight, and it's just completely psycho and amazing. So because of that, I kind of fell in love with this, Trixie character, and then and Katya as well. I think Katya's amazing, and then started watching literally Trixie's season of RuPaul's Drag Race. That was the first season that I watched because it was the only, drag queen I was really interested in seeing on it.
And to people who've never seen Trixie Mattel, which is very few people in the world, but if people don't know about drag culture, don't know about Trixie, what would you say is particularly special about her and her quality?
Oh, I just think there's really, obviously you are so genuine, and you really are very pensive and thoughtful about the way that you kind of portray and have developed this character, and just so incredibly funny. I cannot believe how funny you are. It blows my mind, and it makes me smile all the time. And I think just a really good-natured, beautiful soul who will make you laugh.
Trixie.
And is also just very skinny.
And so skinny, the skinniest legend.
Trixie, I almost want to leave with a philosophical question to you, because it strikes me that we've got you as Brian, but kind of you as Trixie right now in the hallowed halls of the Art Gallery of New South Wales. And for a lot of people, drag queens are just synonymous with entertainment, stuff that you go to a bar to see, hilarious. But drag is its own art, and I'm wondering if you have anything to say about drag as an art form or reframing how people see drag.
Well, I think that people accidentally see drag a lot more than they think, because I'm lucky enough being Trixie. If I go to a pitch meeting or something in Hollywood, people might say, I've never heard of, I haven't seen a single episode of Drag Race. You're the only drag queen I've ever even heard of besides RuPaul. And that always feels like, wow, that's really cool to hear. But what people don't realize is drag is everywhere and they just don't call it drag. Like, do you like Mrs. Doubtfire? Do you like the movie White Chicks? Do you like Medea? Do you like SNL? There's drag every week. Like, there's a lot of drag in the world, or like gender bending and cross dressing for comedy or for storytelling, and nobody calls it drag, so then you don't realize it. But at the end of the day, it's just, I think of a Cindy Sherman as a drag queen, or like a Pee Wee Herman. It's really everywhere, and it's not as binding as you think. And even if you don't think you know about drag, guess what? Most of the celebrities you see on television are in a wig, fake hair and lashes and body padding, and like, it's really, where do you draw the line? And once you dissolve, is it drag or not drag, you realize it's kind of all around you, and we're just all in drag all the time. I mean, RuPaul says it, and it's kind of true.
Yeah. That's a really beautiful place to leave it, but we can't let you go without asking whether you could mangle our accent for us. I mean, part of me is curious, like, you have been to Australia quite a bit, and right now that is not a possibility, but, in an ideal world, when would you be coming back to this country? What could we expect to see of you once you're here?
Well, Kati and I are coming all over Australia next year. Obviously, COVID pending. We're doing some huge venues. I can't pronounce the names. Some of them are 4,000 or 5,000 seats, and some of them are close to sold out. So it's pretty exciting. But I hope all you lovely chookies are having a lovely night. It's not great. Iggy Azalea was trying to help me, because she can do several accents, and Courtney will help me sometimes, and sometimes Karen from finance will be like, I don't even know what you're saying. So I'm not saying it's good, but I'm gonna keep trying.
Oh, you did good. You did good.
You did good. Hope you're having a lovely night.
That is not bad. I've heard far worse than that, and I think if you go to parts of Queensland, you're going to hear that exact accent. Trixie Mattel, thank you so much for making the time to join us here at the Art Gallery of New South Wales from your home in Los Angeles. It's been really, really lovely spending the time with you.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations, Kim. You're like my dream girl, and I'm so proud of you. It's so cool.
Oh, Kim Lutweiler, congratulations.
What about the bus stops, Kim?
I know,
Crazy.
they're everywhere. It's all over the bus stops, trains,
Oh, that's
banners
right,
everywhere.
that's right. So
I haven't seen one in person yet, but I keep getting all these photos.
I'm
so
sure both of you are being tagged in endless Instagram posts.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Trixie /
Cool.
Brian's face.
I'll see you both in Australia, okay?
Deal.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trixie. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here at Art After Hours Online. The Art Gallery of New South Wales is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, you don't need a ticket or a pre-booking to see the general collection, but if you are intending to see the Archibald Wynne and Sulman prizes, you do need to get tickets. We strongly recommend it, so see the gallery's website for details. Art After Hours is sponsored by Macquarie University and the Art Gallery Society of New South Wales. And next week, I'll be chatting with the winner of the Archibald Prize for this year, Vincent Namatjira. Join us then.
Huzzah!